the Constitution of Kenya 2010 that brought devolution that then took power closer to the people. And with that, then there has been questions of about 4 trillion shillings since devolution was there. And the northern part of the country as well has received its share of revenue that has gone there. There has been conversations that we are not seeing what that money has done in the north. Those who are speaking like that, is it because they don't understand what is happening in the north, or has the north had to work extra hard to catch up with the rest of the country?
For one, most Kenyans know largely their birthplaces, the places of birth. Yeah. Let's say the villages, and probably Nairobi. Mm-hmm. We are devoid largely of movement, of moving from one county to another. So most Kenyans may not know of what may be happening in the rest of the country. Mm-hmm. So that's one. Secondly, we need to appreciate history here. And for anybody to appreciate what's happening in northern Kenya, history is very important here. Okay. Remember, we had almost more than a century. I'm talking about 108 years of exclusion for the north. From 1902, during the British rule, when British rule started in Kenya, and to up and about 2010, when the new constitution was promulgated, we had, you can remember, in 1902, we had the district outlying ordinances that literally reduced the north to an enclosed, a closed area. You literally had to have a pass to enter and exit the north. Mm-hmm. We had several rules. We had 1926 rules, the district ordinance rules. We had 1934 rules, which said, an extension of the same. We had special ordinances that literally closed the area. No development. Mm-hmm. Absolutely no development. You get the point? Yep. And so development then was restricted to the productive areas, the highlands, what we call the white farmlands, largely in central Kenya and part of Rift Valley. Then that was between 1902 up until independence time. In 1962, we had a referendum, and in that part of the country, where over 80% of the population then decided to join in the newly formed Somali Republic. Mm-hmm. But that didn't see through the light of the day, and the North joined Kenya as part of the Republic. But then, right after that, there were insurgencies that sprouted out of the disappointment of the people, and what the then government of President Kenyatta labeled as shifter, from the word Swahili. What was the pursuit of people, political pursuit of people, was reduced to mere criminality. That went from 1963 to 1967. Mm-hmm. And if you might hear in Wajir, or most parts of the north, anybody born between 1963 to 1967 will say he was born during John Karar in Somali. Karar means literally fleeing. So you're fleeing John. John was the president, Jomo Kenyatta. So anybody born between those years, 63 to 67, will tell you I was born during John Karar. Mm-hmm. People were displaced into Somalia, Ethiopia, and other borders. Remember, these borders were also a creation of the white man, of the Wazungu. There were no borders then. The construct called Kenya started in 1963. It was not there before that. So between until 67, when there was a MOU signed between Somalia and Kenya in Arusha, what was called Arusha Declaration, then a lot of history. In 1970, there was Indemnity Act that was passed. Remember the departure between Kenyatta and the Odingas, the Odinga, Jaramogi Odinga and Jomo Kenyatta political departure started with the session paper 1965 that literally restricted economic development to what was then the White Islands. That was a structured exclusion of the North
Yep.
economically. Then we have 1970, the Indemnity Act, that absolved any blame from the security agencies and public servants from any criminality in terms of maiming, mauling, and murdering of people. All the way this moved, we had many massacres in the north. We have the 1980 massacre of Garissa. We had the 1981 massacre of Malkamari. We had 1984 Wagala massacre. These things continued up until 2010 Constitution, promulgation of the new Constitution. And the Indemnity Act was only repealed by the new Constitution, not by any other act of Parliament that was passed. At one time in 2010 it was passed in Parliament, but somehow it didn't see the light of the day. But the new Constitution carried the day for us. So we have 100 years of exclusion, economic exclusion, and institutionalized what you call impunity in terms of security. So we have the new devolution from 2010, 2013 rather, to now. That's about probably 13 years.
Yeah.
That does not match 180 years of exclusion in terms of development. And in any case, what we have as resources for devolution, we appreciate devolution. And if we say in the North, any form of devolution, however, with its teething challenges, is better than the previous centralized government. So while we appreciate devolution and all that it's doing, and I may mention a few things here and there, particularly for Wajir County, it doesn't really match all the exclusions, economic exclusions, security and structures, and institutionalized security measures that are put in place to reduce. And everything about northern Kenya was then looked from the prism of security and scarcity. So that does not match all the exclusion that was over a century old. But you might appreciate what is happening in Wajir County in particular and northern Kenya after devolution. Remember, we had one doctor in Wajir district then. What is today Wajir County had only one doctor before devolution. You could hardly attract an expert and specialist in 2013 after the new government was in place. Today we have about 74 doctors. 74 from one. We have 174 health facilities from largely one, or a few others, about 6 of them by then. And we have a lot of water points and water sources, be they pans or boreholes.
So devolution is working?
Devolution is certainly working.
Okay.
With all its teething challenges.
Okay.
But it doesn't really replace. Because devolution, the resources meant for devolution is essentially for meeting essential services, health at the lower level, water services, agriculture and livestock, and all this kind of a thing. So it is Wajir in particular and the North in general requires affirmative actions. And I'll ask you to listen to the President's speech. He spoke more into the levels of exclusion that was in place.